It was nice that everybody came. I was impressed.
So how do you do a merkah kula?
Hakfullah, it says, sometimes it's a poser and a Kishu B'Doila. No, you did already. Not two the Kishu B'Doila. One.
The first one is the Klishi Tana. The second one is the Klishi B'Doila.
Yeah, you say the poser first and then Kishu B'Doila. You don't finish the poser like that. Just stop. The downside of the poser, the retreat of the poser is the shigdeila.
Is there Hasidus like about the Tamim?
About what?
About the Tamim, poser and this and that, and how we go. Is there Hasidus on this thing?
I never saw. I mean, from here, sometimes there's a comment about this, about that.
I remember told what a minor what the Rebbe says about that. How you call it? The one that is like this?
Shalshelis.
Shalshelis that is related to the case of Mashiach. That about I don't remember the whole thing, but the Rebbe says about this thing.
Okay. No Schneer. Schneer.
What's the difference between Yachid and Miyuchad?
Sorry?
Yachid versus Miyuchad.
Sometimes when we get that terminology, you have to explain it in context. All right. 177. We had an interruption, so we will start from the line that begins with Boruhu, Beis Hey, Aristoteles Beis Hey, the line right above Hahistaklus. About the middle of the page. Yeah, got it? What's the matter? What? The Yuvan Be'im Keser. We got into this a little bit, and I want to kind of introduce the following, and the following, and also that which we discussed before, and in this ois. As we said, that this ois talks about Tiferes. Tiferes is beauty and glory. Beauty and glory, what is the expression? That beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, this is a common expression. who sees, who looks, the one who looks at it. So this is a common expression, but the common expression comes from an internal human perception. In contrast, what in contrast means? In contrast to seichel, where seichel is based on logic and explanations. Beauty, you cannot explain beauty. Beauty exists only when you look at it. There is nothing, there isn't in glory. It is only in sight. That's a sight experience. It's not a seichelic experience. You can't explain it. So when we talk about Tiferes, beforehand we talk about Abba Paltiel, we were talking about his boinus. His boinus means delving into an inyan with your mind to reflect and understand. When we came over here, in this case, we're talking about his status. Look at it. Now, if you look at it with your what's called with your flesh eyes, which means blind eyes, then you don't see it. You have to know how to look at things also. When you look at it with an intelligent eye, so on the one hand you call it an eye, on the other hand you're saying intelligent. Pardon me just 1 second. I'm expecting this call. No. Hello? No, I'll have to call you back. I'm a little close already. Okay, so I can say. So, as I said, this is sort of a contradiction, but it's not a contradiction. Because the eye also discerns. You know what discerns means? It identifies, it recognizes certain things that exist only because I have intelligence to recognize it.
This is called looking at it with intelligence?
Right. The stakol. Just as we always speak, that when you enter a room and you see a setup, what you actually see are tables and chairs. The setup aspect is called an intelligent sight, not a physical sight. You're seeing the physical, but you're seeing the physical intelligently. So you see more than what the physical eye sees. And yet, it is appropriate to refer to it as sight, because this intelligent aspect it only exists because you see it. The eye is impressed by the intelligent quality of this. This is a fine and interesting point to understand. So that the Inyat we're going to learn now, what we learned before a little bit, but now more deeply, is called istakel, look at it, which means you can only recognize it by looking. And at the same time, we go in and explain what you're supposed to see. If you have to explain what you're supposed to see, so then it's not what you see, it's what you explain. It's your seichel. The answer is that this is an intelligent sight. And this is where sight and intelligence come together. I could go a step further, as we're going to see. I don't want to confuse you guys. I just want to mention it to you. We know that Tiferes is a combination, as you said, Chesed and Gvura. You heard of that, that's right. Combination of Chesed and Gvura. Chesed is an openness, limitlessness. Chesed is attributed to sight. Sight is more in the realm of Chesed. Intelligence and discernment and identification, that's Gvura. Just like in Chochmah and Bina, Chochmah has more of the quality of Chesed, and Bina is the quality of Gvura. Same thing when you say that you have an intelligent sight, this is called Tiferes. This is real sight. This is where I have a combination of Chesed and Gvura. And you're not dismissing one for the other. You're saying, well, I have the explanation, I have the argument, I don't need the sight. No, it exists only when you see it. You have to open your eyes and see. The argument and the logic itself is not going to give you anything. It's going to give you logic, the same as we had before by Chesed and Gvura. When this is going to be Tiferes is when you combine the two.
Doesn't the Abba say that here when we say I don't know if we got to it yet, Yacha Melech Tachzene Necha?
Mela b'yoyfida.
Necha is Bechinas Chachma. And so we're not talking about a physical sight, we're talking about the ability, like we say, we always talk about that Chachma is the aspect of Re'iyah. So are we saying that it's actual physical?
Chachma. No. Okay. But let that hang a little bit, okay? Because Chochmah and Re'iyah is in the physical level, it's called Chochmah. Re'iyah and Shmiyah is Chochmah and Bina. Okay.
So, Roy, how did you answer the idea that you just asked? That did you answer this question that is intelligent and is sad at the same time?
I did not. It was a rhetorical question. What a rhetorical question is? A question that just is there a question in order for you to recognize that there is something greater here than either one of these two things, whether sight or intelligence. It is. There's no answer. The answer is that it is a combination of the two.
It's a Tiferes, no?
Just like Tiferes.
But how can you have combination of the two if it's opposite ideas?
Because we're capable of them. They have the midas of Tiferes. That's the idea of richness. That's the idea of richness, of seeing and recognizing more than what you see. I had a conversation with someone today. I pointed out about richness. I pointed out, you look out the window today, now. Do you see it? It's a nice day? You see, it's a nice day. What do you see? Oh, the sun is shining. But what do you see? The sun is shining. So I said, you don't see that there is, it's not encouraging, it's not motivating. You just see it. You don't see that the glory and beauty in it. He wasn't lying. Yeah, you see, the sun is shining. But that's looking with closed eyes or blind eyes. And the Rebbe's expression is you have to open up your eyes and see. When do you open up your eyes and see? How can you see with closed eyes? The answer is you can see, but if you see just the physical, you're seeing with closed eyes. You're not really seeing what sight is. If all you see can be expressed in words, then you don't see. Then you don't see. Sight has to be something greater than can be expressed in words. Okay, let's go inside now. Okay, everybody has the place. V'yuvam boy mikyoser. V'yuvam boy mikyoser. People will understand boy mikyoser at greater depth. In Yemasha Koso B'Targum Yenasin. This Inyan that the word Targum Yenasin writes. Shalidei hahistakos bashomayim, that by looking and paying attention, focusing in the shomayim, mesaprim yikoro de malko, then you begin to relate yikoro de malko, the glory of the king. Even though what you see is something physical, but somehow this something physical makes you talk about something else completely. Makes you talk about the glory of the king, not about the physical thing that you see. Shahainu, which means, and that refers to, Shehashomayim Mitzvah Hashomayim. Shemei Hashomayim Mitzvah Hashomayim. That from the heavens, and it means simply the heaven, the sky, Mitzvah Hashomayim, and all the hosts, everything that fills the heavens. From that observation, Onu Yoidim, we know as Bechinas Oirin Soiv Habilti Bal Gvul, the aspect of Oirin Soiv that is without limit. You don't see. That you cannot see. But this is what impresses you. This is what you're impressed with. Because if it were Ein Sof, you couldn't see it. And yet with this sight, you begin to talk about something else completely. Tell me what you see. If I say I see the sun, then that's not what I asked you. Tell me what you see. What does it tell you? What does it impress you with? That's a different thing completely. And what does it impress you with? From this we know, we're actually looking at the that which is above Bechinas Oilams, above the definition. Bechinas means a definition of world. Definition of world is limit, something finite. And here we actually talk about something which is above the test of world. Shalzeh Omar, regarding this experience, the Pasuk says, Seyu more meinecha moru mi bora eila. Lift your eyes upwards, and then see mi bora eila. You will see not not the bria, the creation. You will see the one that created them. Mi bora eila. You will see the creator of all these things. Mi bora eila, the one that created them. Hamoitzi be mispor tzvom. This is the continuation of this pasuk. He produces, he brings forth the mispor by number, by count, tzvom, their hosts, their armies, etc. Ish loy neder. No one is missing. In other words, as big a number and as great as it is, each item in the sky is accounted for. And nothing is missing. What is the point? Where do you see Ein Sof? Behind it. And that refers to the senior. The fact that there isn't any change or interruption in this hashpah, in the chayas, in the life that enlivens and gives presence to all of these things. From this, it becomes obvious that a koyach, a force, bilti bal gvul, without limit, manhig u'mechayo guides and sustains them. So even though we see a whole bunch of finite entities, but actually through that it actually tells us and makes us draws our attention to something completely different, to the koyach that sustains them, that we recognize that this is the koyach bilti balgvul. So let's delve into this a little bit. When you see an item, going back to our simple mashal, when I see a table. When you see a table in a non-significant place, you see a table in a storage room, in a showroom, whatever, there you only see a table. You see a finite entity. When you see a table in a proper setting, there you see something different. Like we said, something different than the table. You see something bigger than the table. How can you see something bigger than a table if you only see a table? Somebody's in business and is selling tables. Please follow me. If you lose me, please stop me, okay? Because I have to go down simple, but every simple situation gives us an insight. Somebody is in the furniture business. And he's selling tables. So, what is this table doing in his showroom or in his storage room? Nothing more than just the table. It is there because I have a table to sell, so that's why I have it. If I have a table in my dining room, is the table in my dining room because I have a table, so I put it down here? Is that what happened there? No. I wanted the table before I got the table. And if this table should break, what's going to happen? There's going to be another table. This place needs a table. So what I'm seeing here is not the table, but what brought the table there. right?
The need for table.
No, not the need. Shnaya, open your eyes.
I'm trying. I'm asking him.
No. Okay.
I wanna-
I'm not complaining about your asking. I'm soliciting. I'm eliciting. The need is a way to explain it, but in a very narrow level, very low level. Because need answers to a lack, something I'm missing. You understand? We want to focus in and relate and identify in a person that the person has a neshama. A neshama and the keys, a nefesh abamis, is also a nefesh, or a nefesh asichlis, a human soul. And the principle of a soul is that a person has a want, has a sense of value, not merely to avoid a problem. I need a table. If I don't have a table, then I don't have a place to put something down. It's not just an answer to a problem. It is a positive thing in itself. You understand the difference?
What else is there besides the need for a table?
A table, as we spoke about many times in different situations, a table expresses a certain human quality.
Oh, okay, I see what you're getting at.
You understand? A need. Well, how do animals also have needs? But only a human being can contemplate something that is not based on need. Like we speak all the time about, intrinsic value. Something not based on need, but based on quality.
Because it's right.
Because it's right. Because it describes. Oh, you're going to. A human being lives here. It's much more. It's a completely different arena than a need. So.
I understand what you're trying to bring up, but at the same time, would you say that without the need, the room still necessitates a table then? A dining room needs a dining table even if there's no one there to eat on it. The need is what brings out, even if we're saying there's a human quality to it. And therefore, that because of this human quality that the person, this is why we need it. But that the need is like the mechanism. Without the need, we don't see this human quality come to bear.
You don't need a dining room table. You can have a couple of folding tables. And you can hold your plate in your hand. And you can eat and dine at. You can eat on the kitchen counter. Dining room table, typically, in most homes, is used once a week. On Shabbos. So it doesn't answer a need. I'm not here to advocate that we must have a dining room, a living room, a kitchen. I'm explaining the sense that we have because this is something which we can relate to. I'm not talking from the perspective of a Chassidish home, it must have a dining room. It doesn't. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm just trying to bring the point that generally we live as pragmatists. So it's difficult, even though for sure that most of what we do because there's an effort.
One second. The Rebbe came out with the But one of the mitzvahim is bayis molis forim. Bayis molis forim. I think I mentioned to you one time that I had a guest many years ago in the house. He couldn't understand why you have to buy sforim. Every sforim, you're talking about books, he was in college. Any book that you want, you can go into the library and get it. Then return it after the need has been satisfied. Why does a household has to have books? Not a need. Because a Yiddish hois has to have sforim. Not because of a need. The only sforim that you actually need is a chitas. Then you have it over your head, you got everything. And now the chitas is printed together with the cedar. Poof. That's all I need. And yet, in every house, and I know in my house, I don't have enough walls to put bookcases on anymore. I can't buy sforim, I don't have a place to put them. So understand the idea. There's a human quality here.
I understand. My question was more along the lines of where do we separate the necessity from the nefesh? Sometimes it's not said with
the necessity. Looking at things from a necessity perspective is looking at it completely from a worldly perspective, from a non-nefesh perspective. Nefesh is proactive. Necessity is reactive.
So it's very possible to approach everything which you would normally approach it completely from a pragmatist point of view. You completely not even approach it from such a way. Don't think about the benefit of having a table that you can put the food down instead of holding in your hand. That's not at all where the idea of the table comes from. It has nothing to do with the idea that it's more convenient to put the plate down instead of holding it in one hand with the fork in the other. That's not why we have a table. We have a table because there's a nefesh there. There's a human quality to it.
No. No, it is just like we have oil and keli. What's oil and keli? We can't separate one from the other. The oil gives meaning to the keli beyond the function of the keli itself. It gives meaning to it. Yes, of course, there is a need for functionality. If a table were useless, then it wouldn't belong in a person's home. It would be a nuisance. That's not an obstacle. Sure, it has to do with the service it provides. But if it provides a service, then its value and expresses much more than the service, than just the need. But in a person's home, anything that is service or anything that is useful acquires a status, a human status, because a human being has to be slaves. Has to be complete. I don't spare the time talking about these principles because these are extremely important principles, not only to understand, but actually to relate to and incorporate this in our lives. We have to bring out the human quality, because in order to understand godly quality, first you have to have human quality. Seichel Eliki, we explain to Seichel Anushi, but not to Seichel Bahami. That's almost impossible. The behemoth will always come back and say, what do I get from God? Tell me. And therefore, you can't relate it. Seichel Anushi, you can begin to develop it and open him up, open his eyes, so to speak. Yeah.
This idea of not seeing not seeing life as, like you said, reactive or proactive. This seems to be the source of what you always explain to be Elokus. The whole idea that it's not that you're waiting for what's going to be to see. The idea of being proactive is the whole idea of having a value and not related to what's the conditions. So
Yesh Mei Ayin. Hashem created the world Yesh Mei Ayin. Mei Ayin means there was no need for it. He didn't respond to a lack. It's something that Hashem chose to create. There's a godly significance, will in it. Everybody's asking all the time, why did God need it? Is God missing? Is God lonesome? It's Yesh Me'ayin. It's on the one hand it's Me'ayin, on the other hand this Ayin, this Yesh Me'ayin is actually expressing a much greater significance in the creation.
But then why we say that this is Seichel Nushi? It seems to be Elokus Mamash, the whole idea of relating to this proactivity and about the table.
No. This is yes, it's a godly creation. Human being is a godly creation, no question about it. No question about it. It's complete folly to say that this developed from a monkey. But it's still a difference between a godly soul and the human soul. Human value and godly value, two different things.
Okay, so just one question. If this whole perspective is the human perspective of the table, let's say, so then like, how do we? I'm not saying a table, but what would be a godly perspective?
Okay,
it's very godly for me.
Yeah, okay. So don't worry about that.
Perspective first,
No, we're not going there. We're not going there. Okay, I just want to understand this concept.
I don't understand.
What?
I don't understand.
No?
I'm sorry, maybe I'm stupid, but I don't understand.
Maybe. So that's you want to choose. It's your choice. You want to stay there?
I'm trying to understand. I'm not happy. I
Huh?
don't understand why. I don't understand. I understand that the connection to God is an inherent. You feel that. Why?
What is it that you don't understand?
I don't understand why you need to like. How it's not connected to need.
How to what?
How it's not connected to need.
How is that connected to need?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Okay. Let's go down a step. Do you eat with a spoon? Why don't you just pick up your plate and pour the soup into your mouth?
Why do I think I don't do it?
Yeah, not.
Well, firstly, I was trained not to do that.
Okay.
From a young age.
Okay.
But the reason why I wouldn't do it is because maybe this is superficial, but firstly, I don't want to get all dirty, number one. And number two, it's uncomfortable for other people around me. You have to hear slurping in people's plates in their faces. It's uncomfortable for people around me, so it's not polite. So I don't do it.
But as far as you yourself are concerned,
when I was in the field, I eat with my hands.
what?
When I was in the field, in the army, I eat with my hands.
I talk when you're in the field. You mean in the army?
Yeah. It's just when you're around civilized people, you act civilized.
Right. When you're civilized, that's when you live in the army. You have to shed all of these limits because everything is done on the run. But we're talking about under normal circumstances where you can live like a human being.
So you try to be as comfortable as possible around people.
It is all because of the effect you have on others. In your own self-respect. It makes no difference.
Why? I don't know. I never thought of it really, but that's why, on the spot, that's why I guess I was told not to.
Mm-hmm.
I figured that was the reason why not.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's good. Your answers are okay. So now let's go to the next step. Let me take it down a step further. You have a pot of soup. You take a ladle and dish out 1 plate of soup. Put it on your table. Then you take a spoon. Take a spoon. Don't take a spoon. But you put it in a plate. And you're going to eat this amount, whatever you serve yourself a serving, so a serving of soup. Okay. Since that you were trained to eat with a spoon anyway, which means you're not going to use the plate as your feeder, right? You're going to put it in the spoon anyway, right? So why bother transferring from a pot into a plate and then into a spoon? Put the pot in front of you. Put your fork in the spoon. Eat, and when you're finished eating what you want to eat, you finish. Why are you putting it into a plate?
Same reason.
Okay, now let me ask you this. You come and you visit Abba Paltiel. Can I come in? Sure, come in. I'm in the middle of lunch, but it's okay. You come in the middle of lunch, I'm sitting in front of a pot.
But you're civilized. You wouldn't be sitting in front of a pot.
Well, I'm sitting in front of a pot. Why not? There's nobody around. Nobody is offended. Sitting in front of a pot of chicken. And I'm eating. I'm eating with a fork. I'm eating with... Abba Paltiel, you're going to eat this whole... No, I'm going to eat until I'm finished. Would you... How would you look at Abba Paltiel after that observation?
Well, it's an act of gluttony.
Huh?
Act of gluttony. I mean, you take what
Why
you
is it
eat.
gluttony? Gluttony is how much you eat.
No, but if
What does
you,
that have to do with
It's
the
like
gluttony?
it-
Huh?
a person,
Dynamic person.
a person takes what they need to eat and they eat that. You know, you don't take.
Okay, we're getting. You see, I'm saying you have that intelligence, but you have to elicit it. You have to bring it out. You understand what I'm saying?
So I'm asking questions.
That's right. So this is why I'm pointing it out to you. So you got to a point where you see, no, it's nothing to do with practicality. Nothing to do with gluttony. It's just inappropriate. Inappropriate.
Right.
A person has to eat from a portion that is appropriate for him to eat. Even if it happens that it will take seconds, so he takes another portion. But he has to know a limited amount in front
Show
of
his
him.
limit.
Yeah, it's not a limited amount in front of him. And this is what he's going to eat. He's not going to sit down to eat unlimited. And when he's stuffed, that's when he's going to stop. That's inappropriate. It's disrespectful to the human being. Disrespectful to the human being. Does that fit in this thought process?
Sure. The person needs to show some type of limit to
Even though
as
he may take a
self-respecting
second.
human being.
Right? Oh, so you do understand.
I don't understand the table thing. I
No,
understand.
wait a second. Wait, no, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. This has nothing to do with need. On the contrary, it's much easier to eat straight from the pot. I have to have another set of dishes. Have a pot. Finish. So the dishes have to wash them.
I understand.
You see, understand? In other words, there is such a thing of significance, of human value, that has nothing to do with need. That does not answer to need. It answers to the human definition of a human being. Okay. A cat, lahavdil, will not be insulted if you serve it in a pot. Zero, right? On the contrary, you would prefer it in a pot. So this is the same thing. You understand? A table does not answer only everything that a human being does that's human, that's respectful, is not just answering to the need. It is an expression of a human quality. You understand? Just as you will speak civilly, not only to someone that you need a favor from, someone that you've never seen and you'll never see again. But it's self-respecting that you speak to him. Please, can you let me pass? You won't shove him. You'll behave normally, with respect. Not because you need to, but because that's who you are. And somebody who does not behave that way, you say, hey, he behaves like an animal. So he'll turn around to you and say, what do you mean behave like an animal? I don't need him, so I put him aside. The answer is, if a human being can only think in terms of need, then he's an animal. Doesn't bring out his human qualities. Okay? See that? So, coming back to the center of this here, that in sight, if you look at things, you see things in them, as a human being sees things, which means intelligent sight. There you see not just the physical item that you see, but you see its significance. Why is it here? Who put it here? Not just the item.
Okay, let me just, before you move on. So it represents the human quality of needing to eat at a table.
Okay.
Being civilized.
Needing to eat at a table, or to sit by a table. Even if you sit down with another person, you also sit by a table.
Do you?
Okay. So in other words, okay, I'm reiterating. We are seeing something more. You're seeing, so to speak, the aura, the spirit of what this represents, not the physical item itself. Like in a store. In a store you only see the item. It's not there to impress you with anything else. In home, it's going to be a different thing. You understand?
Is that like because in the store,
Huh?
is that like related to the fact that in stores everything is made for your needs? Like you go to a store because of, like people, the store is made to fulfill the needs of the people.
I think I've elaborated enough. I don't want to go back. I think it's clear enough. Okay. Same thing is when we look at the creation. If we look with our physical eyes at the creation, but we are looking at it. In other words, we are looking at it with our intelligence. We see something different than what we see. We see a finite entity. But we don't see, even though it's finite, we see beyond its limit. We don't see its limit. We don't see its finity. Because if it were finite, I mean, right away we're impressed. It's finite. That means it's here today and gone tomorrow. But it's not so. It's just a reality. It's a real presence. It's a finite reality. Normally, finite means that it's here for a given period of time. That's not a finite, it's limited. It has a limited function, a limited presence. Here is something that is limited in terms of its size, but it doesn't have a limited presence. It's an infinite presence. It's here to stay forever. This forever is not part of its finity. What is the idea of a finite item? Finite item means that this, I see this, but I don't only see this, I see everything around it. Why? Because it's limited. And similarly, if I see this on the table, I say its presence on the table is limited. It's there for the time being. When I'm finished and it's an empty cup, I move it away. Or I move away from the table, I go away. It's not there to stay. It has a finite presence. When you look at the world, you see limited items, but they don't have. But their presence is infinite. And this is what he says. We see the oil Yosef, how beautiful.
You understand the idea of unlimited presence?
Limited presence or unlimited presence?
Unlimited presence.
And this is what we say. This is what we see in the creation. The sun is a finite entity, but what we see, it has an unlimited presence. It is here, and it was here, and it will be forever. Forever means as long as God chooses to create, to maintain His world. It's not maintained by its own presence. You understand? Something else is maintaining it.
It's not everything.
I'm sorry?
Sun, it's not everything. It's only this cup is limited presence. Not
The sun is also limited. But the sun is limited only in terms of its size. But it's unlimited in terms of its presence.
So it's something they have unlimited presence, and something they, from this perspective of the godliness, and something I see unlimited presence, and something I don't see unlimited presence.
Right, because this was created by a human being. You must put here by a human being, therefore it has a finite presence. Everything that God made has an infinite presence. Even though it's a finite being. Has an infinite presence. And as we're going to see, this is true regarding the hosts of heavens, which are in person. The original one that God created is still here, the very same one. And then there is the hosts of the earth. All the species that exist on the earth are also finite entities, but they have an unlimited presence because they perpetuate themselves unlimited. Because it's God's creation. God's creation has an unlimited quality. There's a godly force behind it that is completely beyond what I see. This is what he said, that when you look at it, then you start talking about something else. Not talking about the sun, you're talking about the Creator. Because that's not what I see. I have to be blind to see the sun.
It's like motion.
Right?
Sun is like motion. Example.
With the sun, it's not a muscle. It's actually illustrates. It shows you. Just like when I hold this cup up, you see the cup in the air. You're going to say, you know what I see? I see a cup in the air. No, you're not going to say that. You're going to say, I see you holding the cup. Because the cup cannot be in the air. So you see the hand holding the cup. I'm not talking about the fact that you see the head. I'm talking about, from the perspective of the cup itself, you say something is holding that cup. I see a cup being held up in the air. So I see not the cup, I see the holder. The same thing is when mistakel b'shamayim, that's when the Torah comes and says, what do we talk about? We talk about something else than what they see. They see all the things in the heavens. What are they talking about? The one who creates them. Why? Because that's what they see, really. Because it's they see an infinite presence. And so I see the sun. Yeah, the sun is here. I thought that's what you see. This is just temporary. No, I see the one who's holding the sun. That's the reality that we see.
Is this why no matter how many times you see, for instance, like the moon, you go outside and you see the moon, you go outside and you see the sunset, would it be 10,000 times over and over and over again? It never loses it. Okay, so I saw it yesterday. I already know what to expect.
Absolutely.
It's always contains, like, it's always in
Because
there.
you see infinity. You actually see infinity if you look with with human eyes, you see infinity. A baby is born, and there's all kind of, oh, look at this. Well, this lady was pregnant. Didn't you know that a baby's going to come out? No, it's a miracle. And this miracle has happened billions of times over and over again. Doesn't diminish the miracle, because it's a godly effect. It's not a natural effect. It's not a limited effect. A human being represents the infinite presence, because each one of us has ancestry going back 5,000 years. Can you think of that? And here we are. Something real about this. A completely different reality than we think of ourselves. All right, we have to go a little bit inside, but we went through. This is like the introduction to this which follows. So that's what he said, Tankuminus. Hainu, okay, we have that. Hainu mashal yesh shinu v'hefzer b'hashpoah. I went back about a line. You have it? What do you see, and what are you talking about? The fact that lo yesh shinu v'hefzer b'hashpoah, there is no change or interruption in the hashpoah, in the force, the provider of the force. Mizen yireh. From this, it is obvious. It becomes apparent. You have the place, Schneier? 177, the other page. Okay, it's 6 lines from the bottom.
We did that.
What?
We did that.
Yeah, you're feeling all right? What's the matter?
I'll be fine.
Huh?
I'm okay.
Mizen yireh asher koyach bilti bal gvul manhig u'mechaya oisa. From this, it becomes obvious that a koyach bilti bal gvul, an infinite koyach, without limit, manhig u'mechaya oisa. Why do we see that? Ki. Okay, now this is the important thing here to recognize. The Rebbe is going to give us a logical insight. What logical is, it's only logic. Here we will actually, we have to go beyond the logic and observe and see it. Key, the reason that we see the koyach built about world, the reason that we see the infinite koyach, it is because mitzad chayus atzme shemalubash bei, if it were only from the perspective of the chayus atzme, of its own chayus, shemalubash bei, that is contained in it, right now the sun is being maintained, and there's a chayus that is given to the sun. So what type of chayus does the sun have, that the sun itself have? Kiven shehu mugbal, since that this chayus that is contained in the sun is mugbal, is finite. The momentary sun that we observe, the sun itself, is finite, and it can only exist a given period of time. Why do we say that? Because we observe it. We say that shebeguf mugbal, because in a finite body, efshar, it is impossible sheyeh chayus shebei bilti mugbal. In a finite body, there cannot be that the chayus that is contained in it is without limit. So the kiyim behechrach, but rather behechrach, it is imperative. That was we have to conclude. Shachayus gam ki mugbal, that the chayus is also finite, and therefore, okay, now after this word mugbal, you have to go. It connects back to the words "Kimitzad Chayes Atzmai," Shemulubash Bay. See the words on line on top line, the line before this, "Kimitzad Chayes Atzmai Shemulubash Bay," and this whole line in the middle is like a parenthetical insert. From the perspective of the Chayes Atzmai that is contained within this body, Hoyo Nechlosh Mishtana, it would have weakened and changed. V'hoyo Eiza Hefsek V'shina B'ha'ashpah, and there would have been some kind of interruption or a change in the hashpah, in the force that is in this body. Uma she'onu roim, the fact that we see she'ein bozeh shum hefsek, that we can actually see that there is no interruption. Shaharei, since that we see, behold, harei means behold, we see, kulon kayomim b'min. They all continue to exist b'min. This means b'min, in their types. Even Rotzo Leimer, meaning to say, the afilu bibruim shalamato, even the creatures here below on the earth, sheheim nifsodim, that do dissipate, the creatures, they end, they don't persist indefinitely. Hafsid, right. Sheheim nifsodim, mikol mokoim, still, lo nifsad min echod legamri. The reason that you think that a min echod, that one species should be nifsad completely. They represent, they reproduce.
There is a species that have been extinct, or Torah doesn't agree with this. But for example, I heard that we believe that there is an option that there was the dinosaurs. There's no more dinosaurs.
There are two types of hefsid. Two types of hefsid. And the other day, I don't know if it's here or we spoke over in the city, spoke about changes of a species. And I said, to change from one species to another is impossible. But within one species, they could be changed to adapt to a different environment, a different climate, and so forth. Okay? So, if this is an original creation from Sheshis and Bereshis, then the only change that can happen in this creature is that it would change to a different format in order to adapt to a changing environment. As a result of that, this would be called that the previous species is extinct. But it's not really extinct.
What is 16?
Is ended, is nifsad. Not really extinct. He has adapted to a different to a different environment, to a different. The Gemara says, human beings that live in swamps have swollen feet. Swamps in wet areas, in wetlands. These same human beings move out of the swamps and start living on dry land, and their feet dry up and normalize. So now, that species is extinct. It's not extinct. It moved from one environment to another.
But to change from dinosaur to cat, it's long time.
Okay, but there is a change in the environment. Yeah, there's all kinds of things. I don't know. I didn't study dinosaurs per se, but the derech klal, generally speaking, for those species that we are aware of, there's no such thing as an extinct species. Avraham Avinu took an ayil and brought him a mizbeach. An ayil, this was, pretty close to the beginning of the world, 3,000-4,000 years ago. And we still have the ayil today. None of the species mentioned in the Torah. We don't have here. Huh? Tachash, it says Chila was created for that moment. It wasn't even created from Sheshem Bereshis. It was created specifically for that.
What do they use that for?
For the Tchelas, for the
No, for the
Argomon. You mean the skin of the Tchoshen. Chilozin is for that. Okay, Chilozin also we don't have. That means that Chilozin is extinct.
We don't know which one it is.
We don't know what it is.
What about in modern times if science says that, a certain snow white leopard or whatever it is?
I'm explaining it to you. It changes.
Not
It
leopards.
changes skin color. It doesn't change the species. I mean, that's silly. Look, Jews, Eden, are certainly from one lineage, right? Eden that live in Africa have a different appearance than Eden that live in Europe. Is that a change of species?
But if there's many different varieties of tigers or eagles or whatever, a certain type of that.
That's not an extinction of a species. That's not an extinction of a species.
We spoke about this here too. Didn't we also say that when we say the extinction of the species, if we say that people kill all the tigers, it doesn't mean to say that God didn't create the tiger with the ability to exist infinitely, and so we have to interfere with it. But essentially, the tiger unto themselves have the ability to procreate.
Right. That's also true. So that may be true or maybe not. Because if it is God's will that a tiger should exist, then the tiger will exist, one way or another. He'll find a way to reappear.
There are species which we know, it's documented that human beings have killed, that they're no longer around.
The entire species or a certain
The
variety
entire
of it?
species.
Okay, so maybe that's...
Dodos.
oh?
The dodo bird, they had it in Tasmania, right? The Tasmanian,
What bird?
Tiger.
Dodo bird. The
Tasmanian
type of
tiger.
bird.
Okay, so there is no... I mean,
It depends if we're speaking in the same terms, because science classifies a species to mean a certain thing. We didn't kill all the birds. But a particular type of bird,
I understand.
which science has classified to be its own species, we've killed off. But the Tasmanian tiger, we've killed off.
That's right. I mean, the Torah doesn't say the type of bird. It says, Oif yoifif al horetz apnei l'kiyah shemayim. Oif should fly.
That's a species?
That's the basic species.
We didn't kill all the birds yet.
We didn't kill all of them.
There's still be a few pigeons.
Yeah, some, yeah. What? I'm sorry? You want to talk to me? You're living in the Kahav? Yeah, I can't, I tell you, I have a chasana tonight and I have to be there on time, but, I'll do a couple of things that I must. Okay?
Okay?
So your practice looking with open eyes, next time you'll go further.
That's what I'm trying to do. I asked the question. I didn't want to practice, I wanted to ask some questions.
I have no problem with your questions. I have no problem with your questions. I'll see. I have something important to do if I have time.